Welcome, everyone, to the first 2026 edition of the Fantistics Insider Baseball podcast. Blasi and Sky Dombroske. Hi, Sky. How are you?
Hey, man. How you been?
I've been doing pretty well. We had a monster winter like you had.
Well, you're implying that winter is over, which it is not, because I just saw the forecast for Thursday, Friday.
Oh, okay. Good.
Oh, yeah, we're getting another 2 to 3 inches of snow easy. So,
because it's funny, it's going to be 70 today here, and they were talking on the radio. What are the odds we have a 6-inch snowfall still ahead of us? And
I would say for you, maybe 25%. For us, 75%.
Yeah.
We got that stupid body of water to our left. Yours is to the right, so a little easier.
That has not protected us this year, though. And I live on the coast, and normally we don't get a lot of snowfall, and you go about 3 miles in, and they get slammed. But we get slammed too. I mean, there was a 2-week stretch where we got 2 feet plus here. It was incredible.
Oh, yeah. I got a couple friends in downtown, and they were like, man, the city's at a standstill. We can't move anywhere. Cars are buried. I'm like, yeah, welcome to Tuesday. But
we're back for the 2026 season. We're having a blast. I don't know how much fun you're having with baseball. You and I are doing a draft with old friend Maikel Garcia.
Oh, yeah. That was interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting group of people. And done on a group text chat, which was kind of interesting too.
Yeah, I actually had to mute you guys at one point. Well, not you specifically, but you as the group, I had to mute because I just.
Oh no, I snoozed it every night. There was a certain point every night where it's like, no, I'm done.
No, it was during the day, man. Like I'm trying to work, and they go ding, 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 ding. Come on, I don't need this.
I know, and they get on these. To get these things going with the GIFs going and things like that. But we're clearly into baseball. I've got my house league draft going on here, and that's going it's the fastest draft we've ever had. I don't know what get into everybody this year, and you've got several. I know you have a ton of leagues, plus a
most of mine are done.
League.
Yeah, most of mine are done. Dynasty stuff. These guys, they start jumping in at like January 25th. So by March 1st, everything's done with that stuff. Obviously, I got Tout Wars coming up this weekend. Yep. I got one. My AL only league is always like the first or second day of the season. We'll do that. But after Tout, I'm actually gonna take a vacation for 4 or 5 days. Go down and play some golf in the Carolinas.
Nice.
See a couple clients just to kind of unwind a little before the double job full time thing starts in April.
You carrying on our tradition in Touts head to head is the same league.
Same league, yeah. Last year was the first year that I missed the playoffs. I had 11 starting pitchers on the DL at the same time in June, and I think it was one of the best management jobs I've ever done. I got my team all the way back to I needed to win and another guy needed to lose the last week to get in, and I won and he won. So
yeah. So what happened? How did you miss? Injuries?
Oh, just start pitching injuries. I could not field a healthy pitching staff for an entire month. Just somebody would, as soon as I would get healthy, 2 other guys would go out. So there's just nothing I could do.
All right. So that leads us to, I'll be interested in your thoughts because you've gone through your drafting season. I'm in the middle of mine. And what are your thoughts on the draft class so far this year? And what do you think is going on? Because I have a couple pretty clear impressions.
Well, I mean, it's at this point, like we've been doing this a very long time, and it's like the more things change, the more things stay the same. You got your helium guys that I just end up with 0 shares of every year because I'm watching guys that I thought were steals in the 20th round now going in like the 8th. And it's like, all right, well, I mean, they were probably legitimately 15th round picks. I'm not interested anymore.
Yep.
And then you see guys, and there's a couple on this list, I think, that are solid players with good floors that slip because they're just not as exciting. So I think it's a lot of similar stuff I see.
I'm finding in general that starting pitching is deeper than you think, especially in a 12-team league, right? So it's not like you can wait on it, but there's the back half of the rotation can be filled rather late. And for me, starting pitching has turned into what relief pitching has been for years where, okay, I'll get my lead guys. I'll go in and I'll fish around all season long. I can deal with that. I think I can deal with that. Third base is super shallow. First base just falls off a cliff. There's some
second base too. I mean, second base, there's very little even enticing to begin with.
Yeah. And outfield is incredibly shallow.
It's deeper than it was last year, I think.
Yeah.
There's guys
still you're into distressed picks really early. You find out in early rounds like, holy cow, there's really not much left here that I'm really interested in.
Guys with upside, yeah, I would agree. I think there's plenty of guys that like, all right, he's going to be okay in like 4 categories, and that's all right for your 4th and 5th outfielders. So you're taking guys like Jung-Hoo Lee and Elliot Ramos and guys like that there's just not a lot of meat left on the bone there, but they're probably going to be okay. They're not going to be complete zero floor guys.
Yeah.
But, a lot of times for your last outfield spot, you kind of want a zero floor, high ceiling guy. You take a couple of those and hope one of them hits.
And I'm playing basic strategies that we've been playing here at Fantistics for a couple seasons now, which is strikeouts are the most predictable. Pile up your strikeouts.
Yep.
You can. You don't want flamethrowers in there. You don't want people who are going to set your ERA, your ratios on fire, but you want guys who are going to strike out guys and make starts.
Yep. But I think you and I really have kind of come around to walks are a problem over the last couple of years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I think the league in general has come around to the problem. I think we're seeing trends of walks because the whole stolen base thing has exploded, which leads me to stolen bases. You have to go deep. You can't get a specialty guy anymore, and you're okay in stolen bases. You got to get stolen bases throughout your roster.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot just grab Chandler Simpson hoping he steals 60 bases and think that that's going to be enough. You need, and I just did this in the TG, whatever it is, Justin Mason's league that I do every year. It's like it's my only roto style league because I hate that format. It just bores me to death.
Yeah.
But I'll do that because I love him and I love what he does for the industry. And I have like my first 4 picks were like Bobby Witt, Maikel Garcia, Trey Turner. Like it was a whole bunch of guys that 20 homers, 30 steals, 20 homers, 30 steals. I looked out and I got like 170 projected steals through 7 rounds. And I was like, all right, that might be enough. Now I can go get some power guys.
All right, we're going to get to Maikel Garcia. I'm in an interesting spot in my house league too, because I just picked up Giancarlo Stanton late. And I'm hoping to pair him next round with Chandler Simpson so I can use some lineup flexibility. And if I need stolen bases at the end of the week, pump Chandler in. If I need home runs at the end of the week, pump Giancarlo Stanton in. I got a lot of position flexibility. So now I'm going for specialists. So, and those guys are late bargains. I mean,
Chandler Simpson
and Giancarlo Stanton are hanging around.
Stanton worries me. The article that came out where he did a little interview and he was like, last year I felt like I could manage this, and now it's to the point where I can't open a jar of pickles or a bag of potato chips. I'm like, whoa. Now this is different. Yeah. Like if you can't do athletic stuff, all right, you rest it, you manage it with meds, whatever. If you can't open a bag of chips, how long is he going to be able to swing, with the elite bat speed that he's shown for so long?
Yeah, but
we're worried about that.
We're late though. We're rolling dice.
Well, of course, yes. Yeah. And if he can somehow continue to manage this, which I find extremely impressive, if it's that bad and he still is hitting the way he does, I have a lot of respect for the guy.
All right. If you're new to us at Insiderbaseball.com, you got to check us out. Insiderbaseball.com has a blog. It's free to non-subscribers. Lots of great preseason articles and lots of free information and insights and things going on. And it's going to help you get in touch with our writers and what we do and how we feel and how we think at Fantistics and Insiderbaseball.com. And if you're new to us, you don't know about the draft software. So let's start with the draft software first. And we're going to get into it a little bit today. It's much too much to get into today overall, but here's a look at it. This is this year's program, and this is the early initial installation with the initial projections. The projections have changed on almost a daily basis. There's way too much to go into here, Skylar, but what we can talk about today, because we're going to get into it a little bit later in the program, is one of the ways we value and rank players. And there are a number of ways to do it. You should pay attention to the software if you're in an auction league, because auction values are calculated in here on whatever your league's budget is. This is extremely adaptable. So if your league's budget is $2,600 instead of $260, or it's $26, you can change up the software and it will reflect all that. But it does estimated auction value, which is the global value at the beginning of the draft. And then it follows along with the economy as players and money come off the board. It's going to give you an inflation value on the players. Does a lot of calculation for you. This struck me this week, Sky. This was AI before AI, this software program.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's obviously so pre-programmed that there are particular pathways for it to go instead of being sort of a thinking separate organism. But yeah, I mean, it's very malleable. The thing obviously that is best about it is that it is completely able to be tailored to your format and your specific rules, which everyone knows that unless you're in a standard roto league, you've got a million different rules out there that if you just look at a normal magazine article or whatever, like I contributed to this offseason again, that may not be applicable to your league at all, like whatsoever. Right. But this is very, very able to be fine-tuned to exactly what you need to value for your format. And that's the most valuable thing about it.
And in all these formats, especially auction leagues, though, as the economy changes, your values will change. As starting pitching comes off the board, first baseman come off the board, certain stat categories come off the board, the value of the players will change, and the inflation auction value, to give you an idea of how valuable these players are, given the amount of money that's spent, given the amount of stats that have been bought, and given the amount of stats that are left available. So for auction people should be super on top of this, because it's going to make your job so much easier. It also keeps track of all the other rosters on there, so you're going to know more about your opponent's rosters and their needs and their strengths, and they're going to know about it, especially as the draft goes on. It's exceptional. VAM is another thing which is proprietary to us at Fantistics in the Draft Advisory Program. And basically that's used early in the draft. And by early in the draft, I'm talking the first 80, 90, 100 picks. And it helps you make decisions on when you have choices between apples and dump trucks. When you have choices between a starting pitcher and a shortstop, or a starting pitcher and an outfielder, it'll help you compare the value of them, because it's value against mean is what VAM stands for. And it's against that player, how much value, how much separation that player gives you. That's the way to describe it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can kind of combine using the VAM with that draft advisor key that you see right up there in the upper middle of the screen.
Yep.
That will help you see where the cliffs are at particular positions. So you can see, oh, geez, I mean, there's 2 first basemen left, and all of a sudden, then we drop about 30% of value. I better make sure I get one of these 2 guys. Just incredibly malleable software. It's excellent. I would not like drafting without it anymore. I really wouldn't.
No, I can't remember the last time I drafted without it. By the way, it will do unlimited leagues. So if you work in multiple leagues, you can set up multiple leagues in it. Here's the draft advisory program that Skylo is talking about. And basically what it's telling you is that, well, at DH, there's Ohtani and Schwarber. You can see that there's $13 difference in value from first to second spot, 29 to the third spot. So you can use that information as you will. It's going to show you, and this is going to change throughout the draft as players come off the board. It will show you where the tiers are, basically, where you're running out of a particular tier of players at what position. Tells you we do tiers as well, and it tells you how many are available, how many have been selected, how many are needed. So it's going to keep you up to date. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. What we're here to talk about today is the other way that it helps to value players, which is FDP, which is a corollary of something to compare to ADP. In ADP, as you can see in this column here, in the top 100 players or the top 30 players that it has here, ADP can be set for the leagues that you're drafting in. So if you're in a CBS league, it can be set to CBS. If you're in a Yahoo league, it can be set to Yahoo. You can set the consensus. You can set it to NFBC. You can set it the way you need to set it, so that it'll show you the current ADP, because that's really important, because you know what your opponents are looking at in the league. I know. And this is another thing I wanted to talk about with drafts this year. I've been very successful. I'm very proud of myself. I've been very successful at evaluating when I look at a player that I like, and I sit there and I go, I could take him here, but you know what? I'm looking at the CBS board where my league is drafting, my house league is drafting, and he's not going to come up. I got another round for him. I might have 2 more rounds for him. And I've been very successful in that. And that's why ADP is important, because it allows you to know when you can take that extra round to take that player, or when it's a good bet to take that extra round to draft that player and take another player in his slot.
Yeah, definitely. If you see a 1 round gap between the FDP and the ADP, you may need to grab him right where you are. Yep. If you see a 3 round gap, like Lou's saying, you could wait a little bit. I mean, it's always a gamble, of course, but it just gives you an idea of what everyone else is looking at and where their priorities are probably going to be with their next picks.
And what we're talking about today is FDP, which is Fantistics Draft Position, which is the software's evaluation of what draft, what round, what pick that this player should go in, all things being equal. Again, not taking into account biases in the league. We all know how that works, especially if you get a bunch of Yankees fans or Red Sox fans in your league.
Yeah.
Things can get a little bit weird. But what we're looking at today is we're looking at a comparison between ADP and FDP in this standard 5x5 league that the software the draft advisory program comes set up with. And we're looking at the differences between ADP and FDP so we can see where we value players a little bit higher than what the ADP, what the consensus says he's valued at. So we picked out some players that we're going to look at that are higher than ADP, and we looked at our FDP is higher than our ADP, and we're looking at some players who are lower than our ADP as well. So I just wanted to give everyone a taste of the draft advisory program. If you're drafting at this point, go to insiderbaseball.com, check out the blog, first of all, again, free to everybody. And there's a lot of great advice and information in there, especially at how we think, how we do things, how this draft advisory program is set up and what it emphasizes. And then take a look at the draft advisory program. There's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a free demo that you can download and take a look at it and play with it if you want. So I just wanted to get everybody in the draft season. I just want to get everybody lined up for the draft advisory program. At least download the demo and take a look at it, especially if you're in an auction league, and especially if you're in a Yahoo league. I'm so mad at Maikel, by the way, because he didn't use the draft room.
Yeah, I know, but they were obsessed with their chat way of doing it with a spreadsheet.
I was so excited because the draft advisory program will lock into your Yahoo draft room and self-populate the board. So, and that's just fun as hell. I just do a couple every year just to do some Yahoo drafting.
I think I had the second worst keepers of everybody, and I think my team is maybe top 4. So I think I did a reasonable job drafting after that. So we'll see.
Yep, I didn't use the draft advisory program for that.
Oh, wow. Like I said, I don't know how to do that.
I know. It was a little bit wild, but there was a lot going on at that particular point in time, and it was a weird draft.
Yeah, very, on many levels.
The way it went down, it was a weird draft. Okay, so let's take a look at some players who have some delta between ADP and FDP, which is average draft position, and the Fantistics draft position. And we'll look at some players first who are a little bit higher in the draft advisory program than in ADP and see if we agree, because Sky, you and I do this every year with the draft advisory program. Sometimes we bucket, sometimes we don't. Usually we're wrong.
I think our success rate's okay.
That's success rate. Okay.
We'll see. I mean, you just have to, like, it's been long enough for both of us now that we sort of understand what the computer is looking for and what it's saying. And I try to take it often more as a directional cue than a literal, this is the pick you should take this player at cue, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's the way I do it too. Although it has helped me make some decisions. You and I discussed the second player we're going to discuss. It changed some of my off-season strategy based on what the draft advisory program was telling me. But let's do a couple minutes talking about our philosophy and what we're looking at when we're looking at players, because while we have some differences, we have a lot of similarities, and it runs throughout Fantistics and Insiderbaseball.com. And on offensive players, on hitters, it's quality of contact that we look at quite a bit, and we look at their ability to control the strike zone, whether they can make contact and whether they can recognize a strike or a ball. On the pitcher side, there's the 3 pillars of starting pitching, which are keep the ball in the ballpark, be able to strike out guys when you can, and don't walk anybody, which might be the most important. I think that's what we've established over the last calendar year or so.
I think just since they changed the stolen base rules, really, is when it really kicked up.
Because a walk turns into a double. Yeah. In many cases, it's just happening more and more. This is the way teams are scoring runs. Besides,
if Josh Naylor's stealing 30 bases, everybody can steal bases.
Yeah, exactly. So a walk gets you in trouble because it can turn into a run on scoring position pretty easily. So did I capsulize it pretty well? We're going to look at quality of contact numbers. We're going to look at zone management for hitters and their ability to make contact. And then on the pitching side, it's the 3 pillars. It's keep the ball in the ballpark, don't walk anybody, and strike out guys when you need to.
No doubt about it. I think on the hitting side, for me, it's sort of a 3-tiered approach. Like tier 1, do you know what a ball and a strike are?
Yep.
Tier 2, can you make contact with the pitches that you want to swing at? And number 3, will that contact be damaging, or will it be weak, like Chandler Simpson? Yep. So I think it's sort of like, all right, if you can do 1, can you do 1 and 2? And if you can do 1 and 2, then can you do 1, 2, and 3? Because then you're great.
Yep.
So that's the way I kind of whittle it down. And like when we talk about, and we will talk about one player later on, that we talk about control for pitching being probably the paramount of the 3 at this point. But if you're good enough at the other two, a little bit of sketchy control might be okay, because that can be refined over time.
Dylan Cease.
I mean, he is an example of one that has not been refined over time.
Yeah.
I'm laughing at the Blue Jays fans. They're getting so excited about Dylan Cease, and I just cannot wait until they're on the Dylan Cease roller coaster in May, and he gives up like 9 runs and walks 6 guys in 3 2/3 to the Yankees.
Yeah.
And I can just laugh because I've had him so much over the past couple of years, because he does slide in some drafts because people get worried about the control.
Yep.
And the guy I'm thinking of is Jose Soriano. I think he, for a later round draft pick, has a tremendous amount of potential, but that control is so sketchy. And he just has days where if you're getting behind 2-0, 3-1 to every batter, it doesn't matter how good your stuff is, you're going to get hit.
Yep. Yeah, that's another aspect of this, is working behind in the count doesn't work well for pitchers at this point. And people have to start accepting that, because people are still fighting third time through the order. I just laugh. They're all bitching and moaning that pitchers can't go 6-7 innings. It's like, have you looked at the third time through the order stats for the league? Forget the individual player. Just look for the league. This is the way baseball is now.
Find a different hobby horse at this point.
I know.
Come on.
I know. The anti-analytics people are always bitching about that. Pitchers don't go deep enough. Well, there's a reason.
Well, I mean, the game has gotten more and more and more and more specialized every generation. And you fight City Hall all you want, but it's much better to just deal with the realities that we have than try to refabricate your own.
Yep. Yeah, but it's tough for some people because they hate analytics in general.
Well, I mean, we're old. You and I should hate analytics, but we don't. So, just the world changes. It's the only constant.
Well, we've had at Insiderbaseball.com, we have quite a range of people that arrive at basically the same place. And you and I arrived at the same path. We weren't analytics people getting into this, but we learned to embrace it and learn to love it and learn how to use it. And as I always say, there's no bad data. There's only bad analysis, right? Use the data
100%.
effectively.
100% true.
Yeah. Use the data effectively and understand what's important and what's not important. Third time through the order is important. Working behind in the count is important. It's just pitch efficiency is important.
We're not even at the debatable point in that anymore. Like that's been debated and the decision has been made. It's obviously really important. Sure.
Yeah, so
there are your guys where, like, do you want Tarek Skubal a third time through the order, or do you want a middle reliever du jour? Well, now that's an argument to make at the time. But in general, this is a fact. It's not even an opinion anymore.
But bullpens aren't what they used to be. Bullpens used to be a bunch of insurance salesmen, soaking up the end of the ball games, right?
It's like Wilt Chamberlain's opponents. that argument.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not that way anymore.
Everyone comes out of the bullpen throwing gas.
Bullpens are full of good pitchers. Plus, by the way, you change up the look on the hitter. It's really important. And it's like, well, if you watch, we're enjoying the hell watching the baseball classic, right?
Yeah,
we're seeing some pitchers who are doing really well, especially some starting pitchers that are doing really well and it's not because they're AAA pitchers or single A pitchers or foreign pitchers that are doing really well against major leaguers. It's because the hitters haven't seen them, right? It's different.
Yeah. We talk about this all the time, how much hitters use film now. Yep. And I'm not saying that they didn't use it before, but obviously just the data that we collect, there's more and more and more of it. And you can refine it down to what you really need every year that goes by, every month that goes by, probably at this point. So
if you've been at a ballpark,
religious about using it.
If you've been at a ballpark or watched broadcasts at all in the last few years, what you see when there's a pitching change is the batter goes back to the dugout and they bring out the iPad.
Yep, exactly.
And they're looking at data, they're looking at film, they're looking at all kinds of stuff. They're just getting used to that pitcher. They're trying to get the look at the pitcher before they actually get the look at the pitcher.
Yep, 100%.
That's replaced what happens when the first guy goes up and strikes out and then walks back and he goes, he's throwing sliders. Talks to the guy who's coming on deck.
Yep.
Now it's iPads beforehand.
Well, I mean, hey, better information. This is the way of the world. Speaking
of the WBC and thinking of radical volatility with the player, Jarren Duran is the first guy on our list who's got a 612 ADP when we put this list together, and a 210 FDP. That's quite a difference. 4 rounds difference at that point in the draft is quite a difference.
Yes. Yeah. And you have to tell everybody that I gave you this list yesterday afternoon, well before the game where he almost single-handedly beat the U.S. last night.
Yep.
He was impressive to me. And Jarren Duran is a guy, like, I think his emotional struggles have been pretty well documented at this point. He's really hard on himself. I don't want to say that those kind of characteristics lead to more volatility from a player, because I think that's sort of perceived analysis after the fact kind of a thing. But he is very disappointed in how he played last year. It was clearly statistically a step back. But if you go and you look at everything that was underlying, the exit velocity was up, the launch angle was up, the line drive rate was up, the ground ball rate was down, the bat speed was up, like all these things, the pull percentage was up. All the things that you would want from a player that maybe would try to be showing more power were there. And they were there in conjunction with an increased chase rate and an increase in swing and miss. So it was clearly Jarren Duran trying to show some more power and ended up showing less power, which is interesting because the underlying stats would have you believe that he would have shown more power last year. I tend to think that there's some luck in there that was, in his favor in 24 and against him in 25. And the secondary thing there is that Fenway Park is sort of counterintuitive. No park in baseball rewards lefties for hitting the ball the opposite way more than Fenway Park for very obvious reasons. So pulling the ball and hitting it in the air more at Fenway doesn't necessarily benefit you like it would in, say, Yankee Stadium, for example.
Yep.
So I think Duran was just trying to make himself a better player, a more productive player, but I think it became sort of counterproductive where he was. I think he realizes that. I think he's a very sharp kid. He's 29. So kid. And I think he's got a really good floor, and there's still some ceiling there if you ask me. I think he's a potential 30 home run hitter. My only issue here with Duran, and I do favor taking him much closer to the FDP than the ADP. My only issue with Duran is the issue that I have with a number of the Red Sox. There are a lot of players, and there are only so many spots in the batting order.
Yeah.
Someone is going to play less against left-handed pitching out of the Wilber Abreu and Jarren Duran pair, I think. And they've come out and said that Willie Abreu is going to play more against left-handed pitching. Jarren Duran really did struggle against left-handed pitching last year. I could see him sliding into a bit more of a platoon type of a role, which will probably take out 100 plate appearances and definitely ding his value a bit. Speed is still there. The power, obviously, the underlying numbers are there. So I think under 20 homers, I'd be surprised if it happened again. Contact numbers they're not great because he was stretching a little last year. I think we'll see a little less of that this year. I really am very bullish on him for the year, but the playing time questions are there. And
so we're down to the key question that we always seem to ask at this point. What is this guy going to do? Tell me how many at-bats he's going to have. Yeah. How much is he going to play? And there's some interesting volatile pieces in that equation because you have Ceden Rafaela, the second base situation, how that shakes out is going to determine a lot of this. Marcelo Meyer, if he can stay healthy and stay in the lineup and stay with the big club, is going to play second base. That makes Rafaela a center fielder, which log jams the outfield. Now, it's funny because you and I were talking about Roman Anthony before the show, and I've heard that he's a very good center fielder. I haven't seen any evidence of yeah, but
me neither, but doesn't mean anything.
They tell me he's a very instinctual and very good center fielder. And I could see a situation where if Rafaela plays second, they were talking about moving Rafaela to second, which Rafaela is a very good center fielder, and it's his main contribution to the team is his defense. Why they'd want to play him at second, I have no idea, except to ease the logjam in the outfield. So, yeah, against left-handed pitching, and they were stacked against left-handed pitching last year. I don't think it's going to be as bad as this year, but teams threw left-handers at them at an enormous rate because they had no right-handed power, and they still have no right-handed power to go. So that's going to be all of that's going to be a wild card. And you're right, there are probably at least 50 at bats, 75 at bats, 80, maybe 90 at bats that are going to be in play here for a guy like Duran, and it's going to change his value considerably. But he's got to have more. He's got more than 16 power. He's got more than 16 home run power. He's a natural 20 to 24 home run hitter. And you're right. With a good year, if he gets going and gets hot, when he's hot, he's unbelievable. And 30 home runs is not out of the realm of possibility.
Look at the exit velocity and the max exit velocity last year. He's jumped the last 2 years. He went from 89.9 in 23 to 90.8 in 24 to 91.8 last year. Now you're getting into the top 30 or 40 in baseball now. And not only that, but the max has gone from his rookie season 108, then 110.5, 112.5, 114, 117 and 3/4 last year. That's in the top 10. So there is plenty of power here. And anybody that watched the game last night could see that pretty easily. I feel like 25 to 30 is where I'm looking at for him if he can get over 600 plate appearances. He's been at 700 the last 2 years. I'm already discounting it some, but I still think that there's a lot more there.
And I'll throw this in, being in the market, don't underestimate the Alex Bregman influence here, especially with the young hitters. With Roman Anthony and Duran especially, I think he was a settling influence. I love that Duran's doing, and Roman Anthony is doing so well in the WBC in the spotlight, because I was concerned about the fact of them not having a steadying influence, although Contreras is said to be in a different kind of way, that veteran type leadership personality. But someone needs to rein in. I'm glad Bregman was there to ease the introduction for Roman Anthony, and I'm glad he was there to kind of calm down Duran a little bit. And I'm wondering how that's gonna work out. And I like what I'm seeing in the WBC because it shows me Duran's got his head on straight, at least to start the season.
Yeah, I mean, he's been pretty upfront about everything that he goes through. He's fairly forthcoming with the media. I think he's a pretty good kid, really. I'm rooting for him, and I'm a Yankee fan, so take that for what it's worth. I think he's a great player, and I think he should play every day. He's
a good kid, and I think I'm going to get into stuff I shouldn't get into at this point. I think the fact that Devers is gone is good, because I think there was some serious problems in that Red Sox clubhouse. I think Bayo's another one too, but I think Bayo's maturing to an extent. But when there's only one or two of those guys, I think you can handle it if you have good clubhouse leadership. When there's 4 or 5 of those guys, then you've got a malcontent circle. I think Tristan Casas kind of falls into that category too. So we'll see how that all plays out. But
that's going to be another. You talk about log jams, like that's going to cause a problem when he comes back too.
Yeah,
and by all reports, he's going to be ready kind of early this year. So I don't know. But it's a better problem than the other problem. But
Duran is basically a 2020 floor. I mean, if he gets enough at bats, he's a 2020 guy, right?
Oh yeah, no doubt, absolutely.
Again,
25, very possible.
Oh, very possible. Okay, let's get to Maikel Garcia, because as I told you before when we started talking about this, the draft advisory program kind of changed my strategy on him, because I had to keep a choice between him and Tyler Soderstrom and Lawrence Butler. And Garcia was the third guy on my list before I pulled the draft software out, and I started to look at it. And they have a power projection jump for him, which I found encouraging. And I love the fact that he has position flexibility. If you're a 20 games played league going in, he's not going to have it at the beginning of the season. He's just going to be a third baseman, but he'll gain position flexibility as you go on during the course of the season. How do you feel about the power projection jump that the draft advisory program has for Maikel Garcia?
Well, I think it's looking at the exit velocity and launch angle gains over the past couple of years and continuing to project those out. He's up over 91 miles an hour exit velocity, which is a couple standard deviations above the average.
Yep.
The max exit velocity is right around league average, so he's pretty much got average power. Gets to it a little more frequently, so from the raw power to game power transition, he gets to his power more than most, but it's a question of elevating the ball. And he has not done that to any great degree yet. But when you look at the ground ball percentages, 53%, 48%, 49 and 24, and 43.5% last year. Fly balls have jumped up 10% over the last 2 years. Pull jumped up 6% last year. Clearly, he's trying to get to a little more power. And the thing that makes me a little more comfortable about this is that instead of somebody like Jarren Duran, where he's going to be 30 next year, pretty fully formed as a player, you would think at this point.
Yep.
Maikel Garcia is still only 26 years old.
Yep.
So he's had 4 years of steady playing time. I happened to stand next to him in Kansas City in August last summer. He's growing still. Like he's filling out. He's a big kid, but he's still pretty wiry. I would not be surprised to see him get to 20 to 25 home runs consistently over the next couple seasons, and then from there 5 years forward, which would make him very impressive. Now, His speed is only about above average. So that 37 steals from 2024, I do not expect anything close to that anymore. I think he'll settle in the 20 to 25 range where he is now for the next few years, at least as he fills out. That may even drop down into the teens, but fine. Still a very, very good player because he's a fantastic contact hitter. Very good plate discipline. Like he's really well cast as a leadoff man. He's going to see a lot of pitches. When he chooses to swing, he makes contact. He's been working the launch angle, can do damage. I think he's a fantastic hitter, and he's still getting better for me. So I love getting him up closer to, round 4, round 5. We have him FDP at 3.02 as opposed to ADP is in the middle of the 6th round right now.
I think we're at the Christian Yelich decision standpoint here with him because is the fact that he has elevation issues. His elevation isn't great from a power game standpoint. Is this because of role? Is this physical ability, or is this a decision? In other words, he's been a certain type of player to this point. Kansas City requires a certain amount of player, but they're going to be moving the fences in. You're the ballpark effect guy. I don't know how much of a change that's going to make, but is his role going to change? Is the ballpark going to change to the point where he can elevate the ball more because he wants to? In other words, has he been playing a role, or is that who he is?
I think he started out playing a role. You talk about this a lot, where guys that are coming up, trying to earn playing time, are very anti-strikeout. So they work on making contact more than they work on doing damage on that contact.
In Kansas City, even more so.
100%, because that has been an organizational philosophy over the years. Although I do believe that is changing. You got Bobby Witt, you got the pass squatch. I think it's working in the right direction offensively. I actually kind of like that offense. The bottom third of the order is still a little bit suspect, but that first 6 got Jack Caglianone. I really sort of excited to watch them this year. Notwithstanding that was my favorite park that I went to on that trip too.
Really?
Out of the 7 that we went to, I thought that I really enjoyed that. Park's beautiful. People are really nice. And I like the team. Team's exciting. But Garcia, he's one of those guys, and I think, that fence moving in left field, I do believe that for Witt, for Garcia, for Sal Perez, maybe 2 to 3 homers worth, which it makes a difference. You go from 16 to 19, that makes a difference.
Yep. Oh, yeah. That was part of the decision why I've got Sal Perez in so many places, plus his first base catcher.
I just feel like he's going to fall off a cliff any minute now, but I've been saying that for a couple of years. So.
I know, I've been saying that for a long time, and there are certain guys who just keep going, right?
Nelly Cruz was the same way. He went until he couldn't.
And I was going to say Marcell Ozuna, but we may have seen the cliff at this point.
Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised to see a resurgence, even though that's such a bad park for right-handed power. That's another exciting. Those are my 2 teams this year that I'm excited to watch. Just from an excitement standpoint, strictly, are the Royals and the Pirates.
Even if Connor Griffin doesn't make the opening day roster, which he won't?
Even if Connor Griffin doesn't make the opening day roster.
All right, so Maikel Garcia, and what we're talking about is we're looking for some elevation. He's 26 years old. He's coming into his physical peak. He's coming into his power peak, too. So this is where we're going to see what type of player he is. He's a good guy to bet on, I think.
I think so, too. I think it's a very good floor because of the contact ability and the exit velocity and the speed. But I feel like there's some ceiling here. It's much like Jarren Duran. I think the floor is good. And then without the playing time concerns and perhaps multi-positional eligibility, there's a lot to like about Maikel Garcia.
Okay, Agustin Ramirez ended up on this list. We're only bringing him up because we've been around this draft advisory program for years, and the draft advisory program pretty basically says, correct me if I'm wrong, or if you think I'm being too strong, basically says all catches are the same. Wait around.
Well, it says that the difference in the top tier is not worth what the price you need to pay for it.
Right.
But what I think it's seeing with Agustin Ramirez, who is a really interesting, very raw player still. The Marlins can afford to play raw players, 500 plate appearances often, which they have done with him. He's 24 years old, came over from the Yankees organization. Low floor. I mean, the contact ability here is, we'll charitably say, average minus. Strike zone judgment, the plate discipline is good. He's just really aggressive. He swings at over a 50% clip. but he doesn't chase a lot. So basically, see strike, hit strike. His contact ability is okay. Exit velocity is really good. Bat speed's good. He does have great catcher speed, which translates to almost average speed. He stole a lot of bases last year. I would not be counting. I mean, what did he steal? 17, 16?
16, yeah.
I would not count on mid-teens, but 10 to 15, okay, sure. Which that is what the software program is seeing, in my estimation.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree.
Seeing, okay, there's no catcher that steals any bases, and here we have a guy that stole 16 bases. So if you're getting a 15 steal gap over any other player at the position, plus he has some other underlying attributes that are attractive, and he has youth on his side, and he has a very steady path to playing time, it looks at all these things and says, all right, well, if you're going to spend, here is where you spend at catcher.
Yeah, you're still going to get your 20, 70, 70 out of him. And here's the thing, at this point, he had 537 at bats last year. I mean, wild catchers are getting 537 at bats. That's 150, 200 at bats better than most catchers at this point.
Yes, 100%. And he's not the kind of guy that's going to DH a ton, but he does DH some there. It's not a Cal Raleigh situation. Yeah. But, let's touch on Raleigh while we're here, too, because Raleigh, obviously, first catcher off the board, 60 home run year. I actually helped write an article, was a little roundtable discussion in the FBI magazine this year about whether Cal Raleigh is worth it or not. And my stance on that is 100%, absolutely in no way is Cal Raleigh worth a second round pick. No way.
No, again, I mean, that's not going to happen again.
It was a perfect storm of stuff. Like, his exit velocity is good, not elite. He elevates the ball a lot, but anybody that watched him in the WBC last night, you're not sitting there thinking, oh, this guy is just, he's you can't match up with him. He's just, you have to take your lumps with him. Oh, I think he's, and I said this to you before the show. I said, if there's one guy I'm attacking in that U.S. lineup, it's Cal Raleigh. I think he's the most gettable guy.
His first, I like Cal's. Don't get me wrong. I'm not putting him down at all, but his first at bat was laughable last night.
Oh, it was awful. It was awful.
Yeah, and it was in a bases loaded key situation there, and
against a charitably a AAA pitcher.
Yeah, why is Alex Bregman there? By the way, I don't know.
I was arguing with an Orioles fan friend of mine last night. He's like, "I'm fine. I don't want Gunnar getting hurt." I'm like, "Yeah, but I want him in the game, like against a righty that's kind of like not a high velocity guy, throws a lot of breaking stuff. Why would you not want Gunnar Henderson over Alex Bregman?" I question what DeRosa is doing there, but whatever. It's his job, not mine.
And why this is a tangent as well. Tariq Skubal comes in and pitches against Great Britain, then goes home. What are we doing?
It's almost like we're handicapping ourselves. I don't know.
I mean, you could have started Clevenger against Great Britain.
Well, and he leaves Matthew Boyd in there like a little bit longer than I would. How many pitchers they have on the roster? They've got to have more than the 7 that I've seen so far.
No, but if you're Tariq Skubal and you get asked to pitch for the USA, you want to pitch against Japan, right? You want to pitch against Puerto Rico. You want to pitch in a game that matters. You don't want to pitch against Great Britain in the opening game and say, I'm going back to Detroit.
That would have been my contention. And it's in his comments since saying he was going back to Detroit have been interesting would be a word that I would use.
Well, it is going to be interesting. It's still going to be, I'm just so excited about the WBC. I enjoyed last night's game. I thought I had the under. The under was 11.5.
Smart call on your part.
Oh God! I mean, it just seemed so easy.
It felt like the U.S. could have scored 10.
It felt when it was 5-0 at that point. It looked like if Clevenger gives up 2, the rest. The USA could have scored 9 and beat that 11 and 10 and beat that 11 pretty easily.
Oh, yeah. So who's starting today? By the way.
Oh God, I have no idea.
Because they can't just give up on this game. Because they could still lose out on run differential if Italy were to beat them. they need to play today.
They need to play today.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I think they're in danger, but they have not locked up a spot yet.
By the way, Garcia was a 608 ADP and a 302 FDP, so 3 rounds difference there. Ramirez was a 710 ADP and a 306 ADP. 306 for catcher. I don't know. You taking anybody?
I'm not paying that. But again, directional cues, not literal cues.
Right.
So if you grab him in the 5th or 6th round, I could get behind that depending on the build of your team. I do want to caution people. There's a very low floor here because the contact ability is not great. His defense is bad enough that if he were to go into a prolonged slump, he could lose some time to like Liam Hicks or something like that. But I think, there are enough positives here that he should be one of your first few catchers off the board. That speed differential is massive at that position, especially if you're not grabbing one of the huge steal total guys early and having to try to play catch up with steals a little bit.
Playing catch up with steals is good for our next player, Bryson Stott, who's 1604 in ADP, 707 in FDP. And I guess the big question is stolen bases. He went from 31 and 32 the previous 2 years, 24 last year. Rebound this year, or what do you think?
Well, I don't know about a rebound, but it's not like he got slower. He's still. I think I was looking at his home to first time was 15th in baseball last year. Still, so it's not that. It's more of the Phillies didn't need him to steal bases.
That's how much worse, isn't it?
Well, is it though? That division is going to be a dogfight this year, I think.
Yeah,
and I think they will need him to steal bases. So 25 to 30. Sure, I feel comfortable putting him in that range. And with his contact ability, much improved plate discipline last year. The chase rate dropped, I think, 5 or 6%, if I'm not mistaken. Contact ability has always been fantastic. He just does not swing and miss much. Sure, below average power, but, a 16th round ADP, you're not getting a 5-category guy. He's a double-digit homer guy. We're not talking Chandler Simpson at second base here.
Yep.
So I just think guys like this, and this is what we were talking about a little bit earlier, these are the guys that kind of slip through the cracks that are just boring, solid citizens, don't have a real weak spot. Sure, power, okay, whatever, but you can get 20 homers from almost anybody if you need it. He's going to give you more like 12 to 15, but probably a very good average and some steals. Floor is really good. He's not going anywhere. That playing time is pretty locked in.
And second base is second base. You get 25.
Second base is awful.
Yeah, you get 25 to 30 stolen bases out of second base with a good OBP or a good batting average. You're going to do all right. Plus chipping the 10 homers. You're going to do fine.
Yeah, this second base is my choice for the weakest position in baseball right now from a fantasy standpoint.
All right, let's go to some pitchers here. Nathan Eovaldi is 1305 ADP, 1003 ADP, FDP.
Another guy that just kind of slides in drafts because he's not really exciting. That ERA is really gaudy last year, but I think, I hope, I pray that most people have gotten away from using ERA as a way to measure success.
Again, I have to say
in a retroactive way, sure, but
I have to say this because it stuns people, but it's an important point to give. We talk about wins being a non-dependable stat, so we don't put much weight into them. We do predictability of stats every year. Anthony Perry does them every year and posts them on the website at insiderbaseball.com. On the blog, you'll see them. And when you get the software, you can go see them as well. Less predictable last year than wins was ERA, because it only takes a few runs over the course of the season to move that ERA a half a run, and a half a run makes such a huge difference.
One Colorado start. That's all it takes.
Colorado start. Yep.
Yeah, it's just one of those. Yes, those matter. Yes. Nobody is saying, and this is the, for the whole anti-stat person argument, nobody's saying those runs don't matter and they don't count.
Yep.
But for predictive ability moving forward, you kind of throw that stuff out the window. You're not starting that dude on a Colorado week. So
and they're important because we score them. We usually score ERA. It's a very popular column among leagues, no matter what your format is. But you can, much the way you platoon play, that Major League is platoon players, and we use players differently against how we pick and choose some stats against pitchers that they're facing. You can keep your pitcher out of a Colorado stat if you want to.
Mm-hmm. You can. But getting back to Eovaldi, the 190 whatever ERA last year, somehow it's just not pushing him up draft boards. And I understand he's 36. Very good chase rate, very good swing strike rate, controls elite, ground ball rates above 50%. His xFIP was 303, which is it's top 10 from last year.
No.
So what's the issue? Yeah, I mean, the velocity has dropped a little bit. He was down almost a mile per hour last year in the average fastball. It is back up this spring most of the way, but he's only around 20% fastballs anymore anyway. So it's somewhat less relevant for him than it would be for, a fastball heavy arm. I just think that his career path has been, frankly, pretty amazing for me. Guy comes up blazing, throwing 99, dead straight, no movement, super hittable, never struck anybody out. And here we are like 15 years later, just a completely different guy that has become a master of his craft. He's a very impressive guy for me in the adjustments that he has made over a decade and a half to become as successful as he has.
He's 3 pillars of starting pitching. He keeps the ball on the ground. He doesn't walk anybody. He doesn't strike out a ton of guys, but he can get a strikeout when he needs it. He strikes out people. He's got enough swing and miss to get a strikeout in a key situation.
The chase rate and the swing strike rate are both very good. They're not elite, but they're good. And for a guy being drafted in the 13th round, what do you want? He's good at everything. I don't know why he's not going earlier. I really don't. I'm getting him pretty much anywhere I can.
Yeah, just go. I mean, sub-4 ERA in the 13th round.
Sub-4. I mean, he could be down near 3. Let's say he's under sub-3.5. I feel pretty comfortable with.
His xFIP last year, 303, 347, 396, 346, 348. Those are xFIPs over the last 5 years.
That's 4 out of 5 under 350. I would take those odds for a guy in the 13th round. I mean, come on.
And a guy who doesn't walk people and keeps the ball in the ballpark can meet those xFIPs.
So the whip is going to be good. Yep. These are things that are almost valuable in every single format that I can conceive of. He's good at these. He's good at every aspect of pitching. I do not know why he is going where he's going.
All right. Braxton Ashcraft is 2309 in ADP, 1412 in FDP. Introduce me to Braxton Ashcraft because that's a name that keeps coming up this spring.
Yeah, I know. Maybe you could help me with why the program loves him in particular so much. Like, don't get me wrong. I see some potential here, but he's a 23rd round pick by ADP. We've got him at 14. I mean, okay. Ground ball rate's really good. Swing strike rate was above average. It was elite in the minors. Yep. He's only 26, first exposure to the majors really last year. So I can see some gains potentially coming. He has shown above average control in the minors. It was not that in the majors last year, but the skill set is there and he should be there for a starter. So even when Jared Jones comes back, I feel like Jose Urquidy is the guy that gets the boot because he's just eminently hittable and always has been. So I feel like his spot's pretty safe. But boy, I mean, show me once before we start putting you up in the top 40 starting pitchers.
Yeah, it's about projection of that. It's about projection of that walk rate coming back down. The software doesn't look at the minor leagues and doesn't look at what his potential is, but that's what everyone's optimistic projection is about because he's striking out enough guys, he's throwing enough ground balls. If he can cut the walks back down to what he's shown us he can do in the minors, he's going to be an effective pitcher.
He is, and we talk about that park a lot. It's a good park to pitch in. Really kind of exciting young team behind him. All these things bode well. I can see all the potential. I'm just not sure the software program's seeing the potential, so I'm just wondering why he is where he is there. Seems like every draft or auction that I've been doing so far this year, he's like the last guy in a bright color on the board, still in like the 18th, 19th round. So
I know he just sits there and he just keeps coming up on the board early. People are jumping on him, even in the ADPs of even the Yahoo League that we talked about that you and I are in, and CBS. He's just up too far, it seems. And I understand the potential for it. It's just I'm not quite ready. Again, like you said, show me first.
Yeah, I mean, Bubba Chandler is sort of a better version of the same thing. Like, I'm not sure the control is going to be there. I love him. I think that the potential is off the charts. Like, Bubba Chandler could be a number 1. Braxton Ashcraft could be a number 3.
Yeah.
But, these guys, both of them, you got to do it once before I'm going to really trust you. With Ashcraft, 23rd round ADP, I mean, maybe you start looking at him in the early 20s, a couple rounds before that, but I'm not jumping 5 rounds to grab him, I don't think.
Well, again, you use this as a guide to get your attention and just have
Yes.
them there sitting around. I wouldn't be looking at them in the 14th round.
I have learned to trust this program more often than not when it identifies an outlier like that.
While we're on the subject, Bubba Chandler and these types of young pitchers, Chase Burns. We're in.
No floor, no ceiling.
Exactly.
It could be anything. Could be anything.
Precisely
I don't like that part.
It's an excellent way to put it. No floor, no ceiling.
Yeah, right? I mean, I don't like young pitchers in that park.
Yeah, true. Don't like
it's rough. Summertime in Cincinnati, man, that ball just jumps there. I don't love it.
And I no longer love pitchers who depend on no contact, right?
Yeah, because the walk rate, man. I mean, the walk rate is going to be problematic. The combination of the home park and the walk rate, I think. I'm not down on him. I'm just not going to pay what's required to get him.
All right, Soriano here. Let's go to Soriano.
I just have a soft spot for this guy. I end up with him more often than not. The 65% ground ball rate, it's elite, okay? That's Derek Lowe peak levels, except he also misses bats because he has really good stuff. He just doesn't always know where it's going.
He always misses the plate. He also misses the plate, yeah.
Yeah, it is the most important thing. But when the other two things are elite and very good, you can certainly be forgiven for wish casting to an improvement to average control. If he got down around 3 to 3.25 walks per 9, my God, this guy would be a Cy Young candidate. He's great. I mean, he really has excellent stuff. A negative launch angle. I mean, who has a negative launch angle besides Chandler Simpson?
That doesn't count. What we're talking about. But is the control? How would you characterize the control?
Oh, it's not fear. It's not lack fear. Of ability.
Lack of ability. Yeah.
Well, I mean, his ball just moves so much. You remember watching guys like Jeff Nelson or whatever. Derek Lowe, good example, that power sinker. Like, it's just going to move so much. You just hope you throw it near the zone and they got to swing.
Let me re-ask the question. If you were pitching for Tampa Bay, would you like him that much better?
Oh, yeah. I'd like him way better.
Yeah,
Houston, I'd like him way better.
Yeah, someone who could harness that.
Anaheim, when's the last guy? The last pitcher they developed was Mike Witt, Chuck Finley. I don't know. Like, it was a long time ago.
But he's a guy. He's definitely at least a watch list guy, right? To watch his walk rate and see if it starts to tamp down a little bit, because if it does, there's a ceiling here.
You know how I like to run my pitching staffs. I want 3 reliable guys, and then I'm going to grab 4 or 5 guys with upside and hope that 2 of them make it. And he would be in that group most definitely. I think that, 25th round ADP for a guy with this skill set, he has a spot in the rotation, obviously. Just the sheer 60% ground ball rate is going to get him out of a lot of jams. He can miss bats. There's so much here that would lead you to, one little thing, and this guy's a stud. Why not take a chance on him?
And this is what happens when we get to the 3 pillars of starting pitching. When we say walks are the most important, I think both you and I feel walks are the most important. Keep guys off the base paths.
Yes.
But when any one of the 3 lapses a little bit, if the other 2 are exceptional, and his swing and miss is exceptional, and his ground ball rate is super exceptional,
it's second to none.
Yeah, you can start to give a little bit of leeway and just, again, keep an eye on him.
The whole rules are made to be broken thing is sadly accurate in most aspects of life. Yes, control in a vacuum is the most important of the 3, but you're looking for a combination of the 3. So, his control isn't abysmal. It's just poor.
All right, we talking Mike Burrows here, 25th ADP?
We're talking Mike Burrows. And you know why we're talking Mike Burrows? And I know you know why.
Because he went to Houston.
From Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Charlie Morton, Garrett Cole.
Yep.
There's a track record here that has worked. Yes, different staff, same organizational philosophy in general, though. And Mike Burrows, this is not a guy that generally fits what we've been talking about what we like with starting pitching. The control is sort of average. Launch angles, not very good. He is susceptible to the long ball. Swing strike rate is above average. He's going to a better offense. And most importantly, as we just outlined, he's going to a better organization.
Yeah.
It's not that Pittsburgh can't develop pitching. It's just that they don't do it as well as Houston, clearly, because every guy that goes from Pittsburgh to Houston plays better.
Yep.
So I feel like there is something here. I don't think Burrows, like unlike Soriano, Ashcraft, Eovaldi, these guys could be 1, 2, 3 starters for you. Burrows is a guy, he can maybe slot in at the back of your rotation and be credible.
If you're new to us here, Skylar and I especially are big on developmental organizations, especially on the pitching side. It's like we put a lot of faith in them. It's like horses. You give a horse a good trainer, you're going to get more out of the horse.
That is a
very
apt comparison. Yes.
You give a pitcher to Houston, you give a pitcher to Tampa Bay, another great organization. Yeah, that they're going to develop them, and they're going to get the most out of them.
At least until their arm falls off, but that's fine.
Well, that's
in Tampa Bay's sense.
Yep. All right, now let's look at some players who FDP is lower than their ADP. Riley Greene will start with 703 ADP, 1404 FDP. That's a big gap.
Yeah, man. I mean, out of these 6 guys that I have written down here for where we're lower than ADP, I like the first hitter and pitcher. I just don't like them quite as much as the market seems to like them. And the thing with Riley Greene, you're really, it's a power only profile with the possibility for more. And in the 7th round, I think that's too early for that kind of a profile. You can get that 5 rounds later, 6 rounds later. Riley Greene is a very good hitter, but he's gotten much more aggressive the past few years in increasing the power numbers. Swing percentage went up 8.5% last year. And concurrently, the swing strike rate went up 3.5% last year because all your choices won't be good ones.
Yep.
And that's really what we've got here. You got a guy that, 30-some homers. Sure, it's awesome. But the batting average is now just barely a help, where before it was a significant helper. The exit velocity was down 1.5 miles on average, even though the bat speed was up 1 mile an hour. Yeah. So that leads me to believe that not only was there a lot more of swinging strikes, but there was a lot more poor contact too. So if your swing decisions went up 8.5% and your swing strike rate went up 3.5% and your bat speed went up 1 mile an hour while your exit velocity went down 1.5 miles, I would say that most of those swing decisions that were made were not good ones. Most of that 8.5% extra shouldn't have happened. So I think Riley Greene needs to kind of scale it back. I mean, maybe keep swinging as hard when you swing, but the swing decision matrix was not a good change last year for him. I think he's a very good player, and he's aware of this because in an interview in February that I saw with him, he said he was very cognizant that he set the Tigers' single-season K record last year at 201, and he definitely wants to strike out less this year.
Well, good. All right.
Yeah, so, but what's that going to mean?
What does that do to his value? Exactly. Because his value is in the mid-30 homer total.
Exactly. So, if he could somehow find the best of both worlds here, where he comes back up to a 270, 275 average and 30 homers and 100 RBIs, yeah, okay, maybe you're going to get that 7th round value from him. So for me, that's best case scenario because he doesn't run. So that's best case scenario. And I think that that's very hopeful.
Pardon me if I oversimplify this, but the compelling equation for me is you need to get 30 plus homers out of him in Detroit, by the way.
And still have an average that's credible.
Yeah, fine. I mean, if he gets to 35 homers, you put up with the average, whatever, but sub 90 exit velocity last year. That's not a good bet.
A lot of poor contact. And that's anytime your exit velocity goes down and your bat speed goes up, something is amiss.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously
it's simple physics. So
bat speed can go up, but if quality of contact goes down, what are you gaining? Right.
Well, you're gaining more home runs when you hit it, but a lot more outs of both the strikeout and flyout variety. And the fly ball percentage obviously went up 4.5% too. So it was very clear what he's trying to do.
He needed a 23% home and fly ball rate again in Detroit, by the way, which is 2 or 3 points higher than his career average. And again, what are we betting on here? You got to get 30 homers out of him to pay for where his price at this point, and that's reasonably questionable.
Understating the point. Yes, I think it's very hopeful, and when you get in a situation where a hopeful outcome gives you the value where you drafted a player, he shouldn't be drafted there. You want average outcome to be there.
All right, let me ask you a question. 7th round, are you drafting for at the top of the draft? We draft to get back what we paid, right? We want to match it. There's a certain point where that starts to turn and we need some profit. The 7th round is kind of in that middle ground. I'm not sure.
It's just getting to that point where I think now you need to start looking for where can I get some upside? Where can I have some gains here to outperform my draft position? And I think with Riley Greene, I love him as a player, and he's 25, and he still should be improving as a baseball player. So maybe I'm off base here, but I just feel like it's very wishful thinking to have 2023's average and 2025's power.
Well, again, so this gives you an idea of where you should be valuing him. 7th is probably a little bit too high. If you run into him in the 9th round,
that's a different story. That's a different story.
Exactly. Well, that's the lesson here. Again, the FDP is not telling you where to draft him. In other words, if you don't get him in the 14th round, don't pay for him. It's telling you 7th round is questionable value.
Well, not only that, but it's telling you with that 7-round gap, it's telling you that it's significantly questionable.
Yeah.
A round or two, you can forgive that. That maybe if you really like the player, go grab him. 7 rounds, that's telling you should not draft him there.
Yana Diaz is 7 rounds too, from 10.01 at ADP, 1703 FDP.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm going to use one of my favorite hobby horses here as a comparative, because for whatever reason, Tyler Stevenson of the Reds gets absolutely no respect at all. And I look at Jarren Diaz. I mean, they're not the same player because Stevenson is a much more patient hitter, swings and misses a bit more than Jarren Diaz. But Jarren Diaz has plenty of swing and miss issues of his own and swings 60% of the time because he just does not know what a strike is, which for a catcher is a fairly disturbing data point.
Really
when
is.
You see catchers that swing 60% of the time, like Sal Perez and Jarren Diaz, I don't like. How did you become a catcher? Like, how do you know what you're doing back there?
Do not argue with the umpire.
ever. You'll be wrong. Don't challenge anything.
Yeah.
But Jarren Diaz is a perfectly good player, but the last 3 years, the exit velocity has drifted back down toward average. Lots of ground balls, and he is slow. Like maybe not Sal Perez slow, but maybe close.
Yeah.
So you're just really hoping to recapture from a couple of years ago, and I'm not seeing it. So Tyler Stevenson, in my opinion, probably similar production, particularly in an OBP base format versus a batting average base format. Pick 110 on average for Jarren Diaz, pick 251 on average for Tyler Stevenson. That is what we call in the business a significant difference.
Yep. 2.9% walk rate, 3.9% walk rate, 3.5% walk rate, but swinging strikes are under 15%. I don't get it. His whole profile doesn't add up. I mean, he doesn't understand what a strike is, but he gets the bat to the ball. He
is just a very inefficient hitter. He could be so much better if someone would slap him upside the head or something. I don't know. He swings too much. 60% is always going to be too much. I don't care how good you are. If you're Vlad Guerrero Sr., 60% swing rate is too much. Pitchers don't throw 60% strikes.
He's in Houston too. Like, they can't talk to him?
Jordan Alvarez can't talk to him? Guy with a 17% chase rate? Like, dude, do what I do, okay?
He only chased 17%.
I mean, it's like, I do CFP stuff for my primary job. People, they always are nervous about what they have saved for retirement, and they delay retirement for so long, thinking that they're suddenly going to spend more in retirement, and then they don't. And I'm like, well, you're not going to spend more. I know who you are as a person. You can't change. And this is how I feel about Jarren Diaz. Like, no matter what they do, he's going to be aggressive. He can't be anything other than who he is. So the ceiling is necessarily limited by his lack of ability to control himself.
This is where I fall firmly in line with the draft advisory program and Fantistics attitude in general towards catchers. If you're at the Jarren Diaz stage, it's like, draft somebody else.
Exactly.
Draft another position, because you can find...
There is no way in the 10th round that you can look down the list and say, that's the right choice.
I know. I got to get him.
There's no way.
And again, using it as a guide, that's a 7-round difference there. And of course, again, the draft advisory program, I'll warn everybody off the bat, doesn't treat catchers well. And I understand why. And I think it's appropriate in many cases.
Wait 8 rounds and takes Tyler Stevenson. You will thank me later.
All right, now let's get to Chandler Simpson, because it's going to piss me off, because you've been downing Chandler Simpson for the whole show so far.
Well, I mean, I used to use Juan Pierre, but half people don't remember who he is anymore. This is the same guy.
At what point in baseball today, in 2026, how many stolen bases do you have to be a specialist, a worthwhile specialist?
80.
80, yeah.
90. Stolen bases are very, very plentiful anymore.
Yeah. And again, you shouldn't be playing. And again, you shouldn't be playing scarcity at this point. You shouldn't be looking for Chandler Simpson as the 4th guy on your roster in terms of stolen bases. You got to have a bunch of 20 stolen bases guys. They've got to be up and down your lineup. He's
not even really efficient at it. He's 44 for 56. Like, that's not even really break even for as far as the old, you got to steal at an 80% clip to be net positive for your team. And Tampa knows that. Like, they're one of the smartest organizations around. They know what the value of a run is, and they know what the value of a stolen base and a caught stealing is. So I wouldn't be surprised if he ran a little less. And by the way, he has 0 power. The 4th lowest bat speed in the majors, and he hits the ball on the ground all the time, as he should with his speed. Oh, and by the way, if you're looking for just guaranteed playing time, he's horrible on defense.
Yeah, this is the playing time thing is the killer here, because if you want him as a specialist, if you want to say there, I'm behind in stolen bases this week, I need to get one, I'll stick him in the lineup at a certain day. You don't know what days he's playing. He's not playing every day. He's not hitting leadoff every day. He's not getting 4 or 5 chances to steal a base on an everyday basis. You can't depend on him even for that.
It's true. And I only included him in here. I mean, what was the gap? Just a couple rounds?
1408 to 2004.
No, just a couple 6. All right. Yeah, I mean, people are enamored by the fact that he could steal 60 or 70 bases, which, great. Let somebody else have him.
I mean, if he's played second base, maybe.
Or catcher.
Oh, catcher. Played catcher.
He'd probably be just as good defensively. And how is a guy that's that fast, that bad in the outfield? I mean, he's like Magellan out there with no arm.
He has no route sense, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. He can run, but he's got to run more.
He can run. He doesn't know which direction he's supposed to run. I mean, I don't mean to just beat this dude up, because he's a perfectly good baseball player, but for where he's being drafted and what he's going to give you, and the likelihood that any of that improves is low. Maybe he can improve the defense, which improves the playing time, which improves the counting stuff, but there is no power. If he had a home run, I'd be shocked.
Yeah. Let's talk about Freddie Peralta here. There's not much of a difference between ADP and FTP. It's 5-12, so basically a 6th round or 8-10. So 2+ rounds there. Going to the Mets, not much of a difference there. But are you closer to the 5th round, or are you closer to the 8th round?
I'm closer to the 8th round, and I think when you categorize it like where does he rank among starting pitchers, I think it's a little more effective to look at it that way. ADP has him ahead of guys like Jesus Luzardo, just signed a big contract. Joe Ryan, a little back trouble this spring. Like, that has pushed Peralta up a little bit. I'm not really buying that. I still like those other pitchers. We've got him at the 19th ranked starter instead of the 16th ranked starter. Granted, not a huge difference, like Lou said, 2.5 rounds, but it's enough. It's enough of a difference to say, you know what? I don't want this guy being my number 1 starter. Maybe a number 2, but only if he slips down to like the 7th round or something. That's how I feel that I'm treating the Peralta situation. Like, he had a 2.70 ERA last year, and I think as opposed to somebody like Nathan Eovaldi, where the ERA doesn't seem to be pushing him up draft boards, with Peralta, that 2.70 seemed to be bumping him up. And maybe it's more of the move to the Mets and a more media-centric market, and people are paying more attention to what that could mean. But, hey, the Brewers were pretty good last year. The Mets aren't really going to be better than that.
No.
So it's not like you're going to say he's going to have a lot more opportunities for wins now because he was with the Rockies or whatever. It's not that kind of a situation. And I think you got below average control, a ton of fly balls, and he misses bats. So 2 out of the 3 things that we look for, he's maybe not that great at. And that's going to be your SP2. I'm not excited about it.
And those are the things that make him volatile. And we looked at a gain of a run in ERA last year over the year before, but that was he was very favorable in home run to fly ball, which is what the problem is. He's very volatile in terms of giving up walks and giving up homers. And so I don't know if you can buy him based on a 3 ERA or 2.70 ERA. His xFIP was 3.85. That's what he is.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that lowering a little maybe, but it won't be below. I mean, you give me the 350 mark again. Eovaldi or Freddie Peralta? I prefer Eovaldi, to be perfectly honest.
Yep. Because again, what makes a pitcher volatile is his ability not to walk people. He walks people and he gives up homers. That's a bad combination. And especially if you're in Roto, and I know you hate Roto. We all hate Roto. None of us play Roto.
It just bores me. I don't hate it. I don't want to play it because I invariably forget I have a team for 3 weeks and then lose.
Well, some of it's going to even out over time. But if you're playing weekly like we tend to play, that stop by Freddie Peralta, it's going to work out in the long run, but that given week, it's a 5 runs in 4 innings because he gave an extra walk and an extra homer at the wrong time.
He's a mid-rotation guy miscast as a rotation head, in my opinion.
All right, Estevez now.
Carlos Estevez. If there's one guy on this entire list that I would implore people to not draft, it's this guy. All right, so I don't think he was a good closer even when he was a good closer. But he'd lost a mile an hour off his fastball last year. And I know this is spring and we don't pay a lot of attention to spring stuff, but I do pay some attention to velocity. And he's down 5 miles an hour this spring.
Oh, good.
He hasn't gotten a 90 on his fastball yet as a closer. And by the way, he has poor control and a 25% ground ball rate to go along with that.
That's not a spring thing. That's a problem.
That is a problem. 5 miles an hour is not, I'm ramping up. 5 miles an hour is my arm is about to fall off. So the only thing here is that the Royals are pretty decent. And I look at that bullpen. And last year at this time, I would have said, Lucas Erceg is going to take that because he looked so good in 2024. But he went through a little dead arm thing last year, and he was not nearly as effective. So who's next in line? John Schreiber, he's not going to be a closer. So I look in that bullpen, and you're going to think I'm crazy, but the one guy in that pen that I think I want is Luinder Avila.
Oh, yeah. No,
I think he's got a lot of potential as a closer in waiting. It won't be early in the year, but, in a deeper format or just a guy to sit there and watch on the waiver wire, he is my pick for who's going to be closing games for them in August if they don't trade for anybody.
No, he's a watch list. He's definitely a watch list guy.
Yeah, but everything about Estevez is just alarm bells, red lights flashing. I'm not liking this at all. The program doesn't like closers to begin with because it feels like half of them change during the year, which is perfectly accurate. So it's never going to have you pay up for one. But if you're going to pay up for one, don't pay up for this guy.
Where are you on it? How often do you pay up?
Pretty rarely.
Yeah.
I end up trying to cobble something together all the time.
Yeah, I almost enjoy doing it.
If you see one of my teams up near the top in saves, something went horribly wrong. I probably auto-drafted or something.
Yeah, or I mean, the draft sometimes forces you into it, but not often.
Yeah, every time I'm in round 5 and looking at closer number 6 versus a real player, I'm like, this format is dumb. That more than anything, that and the fact that I just lose. I get really busy for a couple of weeks during the year and I just kind of forget to set lineups. In a Roto format, that absolutely kills you. A season-long format, you get behind and you can't catch up. Head-to-head, so you had 2 bad weeks, whatever.
All right, we're going to finish with, it took us so long to get to this, and I always enjoy this part. A Yankee or a former Yankee? Talking to Sky about him. Michael King.
It's sad for me to see Michael King go from, oh my God, this guy is an absolute sleeper to, wow, this guy is totally overdrafted. But I think that's where we've gotten with Michael King. And
10-round difference between ADP and FDP.
10 rounds, almost 11 rounds.
Yep.
He's average minus control, average minus ability to keep the ball down. Swing and strike rate dropped by 1.5% last year. 420 xFIP. The exit velocity went up by a couple miles an hour. The chase rate went down by 3%, which is a lot.
Yep.
Nothing there looks very good. And then I look at the Padres, and I'm like, wow, I thought this team was going to be really good a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And now they look like maybe they're like the fourth best team in the West.
They're still spending a lot of money too, aren't they? They're still spending a lot of money too, aren't they?
I don't know what on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Tatis's career has really stagnated and declined. Machado still looks great. Gavin Sheets was a nice find. But, what else do you have? You've got a couple holes in the lineup. The rotation and the back half looks awful. I really don't know what they're doing.
And how did he had a better home run to fly ball rate and had better control over home runs at Yankee Stadium than he did at San Diego. Now, a lot of that was in relief, right?
Yeah, well, it was, and he was able to air it out better. I think his arm may not be fully healthy, to be honest, when I watch him pitch anymore. It's sad. I loved him as a player when he was with the Yankees, so he's really underrated. Going to San Diego, I thought would be a great move for him because he never really kept the ball down great. So much better environment in Petco than at Yankee Stadium for a right-handed pitcher. But, it all hasn't gone well.
And we're looking at a sub-3 ERA in 24, 3.44 ERA last year. This is where you got to pay less attention to ERA because the xFIP 3.50 the year before, 4.20 last year. That's telling you something. Pay attention to it.
Yeah, I mean, an ERA up around 4 this year, which is league average, could very well be in the cards for Michael King, which, he's rosterable. It's not like he's horrible, but I feel like people are valuing him as an SP3, maybe a good SP4. And for me, he's more of an SP5 and just kind of a generic one at that.
Yeah, I'm wondering, I don't have time to dig into it right now, but I'm wondering what his second and third look like for hitters.
I'm betting not good. Most converted relievers are pretty bad with that.
Because when he was a reliever with the Yankees, he had a couple of years where he was pretty good in limiting walks. I mean, he wasn't super, but he was pretty good. And so this comes down to, is it a fear thing or is it a control thing? He obviously has the control. He's just getting hit.
Yeah, I think it's more of the former, where he just is trying to pace himself to get through 6. And it's just a different mindset. And some guys can make that change and some guys don't.
Yeah, and I guess at this point we have to kind of play into it. He went to San Diego, saw a lot of hitters he hadn't seen before in that first year. Second year, books out a little bit.
Could very well be something to that.
Yeah.
Plus, I think the arm health is maybe just not where it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's definitely true, and that would affect control as well. That gets into the fear factor of control.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And he's 30 now. He's not a kid anymore.
All right, everybody head over to insiderbaseball.com. Check out the baseball blog. I was going to show you the baseball blog, but I just shut it. I mean, I was going to show you the draft advisory program again, but I just shut the laptop, so it went away. Go to insiderbaseball.com. Check out the baseball blog. Free to non-subscribers. Plenty of great articles. You have something up there recently?
I did a couple 2 weeks ago, but I'm off in March because I'm going to be traveling most of the month. So,
yep. Download the demo of the draft advisory program and check it out and look for ADP versus FDP. Look for inflation, auction value, and auction value, and look at VAM and look at what the program does to you and how you can actually program it to your league so you can see how it's going to change with the initial projections. And we update the projections almost on a daily basis as news flow changes, playing time changes, injury changes. We learn more or learn less about players, then the projections are going to change. So when you go into your draft, you're going to have the most up-to-date information. Exceptionally worth it. Go check it out. The free demo is there. Skyo, thanks.
All right, man. Good to see you.
Have a good vacation. Good to see you too. And we'll talk to you again here on the baseball blog. You can find that on the podcast, which you can find on the blog as well.
All right.
All right. We'll see you next time.